My name is Carpenter, and this is my war story. I remember one time I was walking on the sidewalk in California. My family was mad at me. I got kicked out there too. And I just remember this point where I just looked up at God and I said, I hate you. I was born in Virginia Beach on a naval base. My dad was in the Navy, he was a Seabee. My mom was in the Navy at the time as well. At one point we moved to Cuba, Guantanamo Bay, and we lived there for about a year. We moved back to Virginia Beach. I was about 5 years old. My father would always go overseas. While he was overseas, my brother and I, we'd kind of run wild through the neighborhoods and kind of act out because we missed our father. And then my dad, he started drinking a lot when he'd come home from being stationed overseas. And he'd kind of black out, and he'd start hitting us and abusing us a little bit. And it kind of affected me a lot. I'd run away. I started acting out in anger. I started skipping school, getting in a lot of fights, disrespecting my mother, my father. A lot of the times I was scared to come home because my father would be drunk after school, so my dad just hit us and made us scared. I was a little disturbed as a kid. They told me I had oppositional defiance disorder and ADHD, and I just couldn't be controlled. I was always getting in fights. I started middle school with my grandparents. And that year I joined the wrestling team, which really helped my anger because I could throw people around on the mat and not get in trouble. I really loved God at one point, but my mentor, he just turned me away from God when he started stalking me, he started molesting me. It made me so mad that God could allow things to happen. I've always believed in God. It made me hate him, and it made me hate my family because my family didn't listen to me. They thought I was just trying to get away with something like I used to do, but they didn't really see there was a problem going on. You couldn't keep me at home anymore. I was always on the run, not from the police, just I wanted to do my own thing. And when I did come home, I was violent towards my family, my brother, my grandmother, my grandfather. I would hit them, and I was kicked out of my house because my family couldn't deal with me. And I ended up moving to California. I moved in with my parents. It opened me up to a lot of new things I never tried. At a party, I remember my friend doing ecstasy one night, and I tried it. And it just blew my mind away and opened me up to just a whole world of things I didn't want to be involved with, but it sucked me in. Before you know it, I'm doing everything I can get my hands on: cocaine, ketamine, acid, shrooms, just whatever came my way, I was down. I just stayed like that for a long time. It got to the point where I would do anything to get the drugs. I remember one time I was walking on the sidewalk in California. My family was mad at me. I got kicked out there too. And I just remember this point where I just looked up at God and I said, I hate you. That was when I really felt like I was the lowest, because I knew that I was so far gone. I felt like I was going to hell. I felt like a fallen angel. I realized I had to get away though. So I flew back to Virginia and tried to start my life back over, but I had a problem on the inside of me, and I just couldn't get away from it. I couldn't get away from myself because it was just stuck with me. And I decided to go out into the neighborhood to steal cars so I could make money for my rent and possibly buy some drugs when I got home. I had a hammer, and I was walking around busting people's windows out. The police chased me, got away from them. They found me the next morning. They told me I needed to join the military. They wouldn't press charges on me if I did. So I went to enlist with the Air Force. So I started living with my parents until I was supposed to leave for basic training, and I was drinking with my father one night. My dad went downstairs, I was upstairs, and for some reason I started beating his Dalmatian puppy, and he came back upstairs and he told me to stop. And I yelled at him and told him he didn't stop beating me when I was a little kid. And we got into just this argument, and it got really heated. He told me to leave the house. I went downstairs and was packing my stuff up, and he came downstairs and he came into the room, and I felt threatened, and I pulled a knife out on him and I held it up to him. And the police came and they arrested me, and I resisted arrest. They took me to jail. That was my first night in jail. My mother and my father, they went out to Nashville on this business trip one day, and during their trip, my mother went into a coma, and it kind of devastated me. And while they were gone, I just went crazy. I had a lot of money, and I spent it all on coke. It led me to just this really low point where I was willing to steal from anyone, including my family. As horrible as that sounds or seems, I didn't care. I just needed money, and I stole my father's car. I was in a high-speed chase from Shelby County to Tipton County. I got on this country road. I was going about 80 miles per hour on this turn, and the car flipped sideways, and I slid right through the woods, completely totaled the car. I was so blessed to be alive because those trees were just zooming right by, and just nothing hit me. And they came and dragged me up out of the car, took me to jail. That next day, when I sobered up, woke up, I felt completely and totally terrible. I was cut off. I tried to call my family, nobody would answer. The court, they offered me to go to a 28-day rehab, and I really started thinking about Jesus and Christ because I believed in him and I wanted to live for him. My counselor found Warrior Center, and he knew about my desire to live for God, and he told me that this discipleship program, so I decided to go there. God really opened me up from the inside out, and he changed my heart. He revealed to me that I wasn't too far gone, that I was covered by his grace. He showed me his love. He showed me I could trust people, once again, trust Christians. The people at the center, they really showed that they cared, and they earned their trust with me. I got to see this new picture of life that I'd never seen before, that I could do things that were good and right and have fun and enjoy myself. And God gave me this purpose where I feel like I've been on a mission ever since I've been saved, to trust in God and know that what he's doing in my life is he has plans for it, and to just keep having that basic, simple faith. My graduation experience was incredible because it brought my family back together. They could see that God really did things in my life, and they could see that I was just this completely different person from who I used to be. It healed my relationship with my family and my father and my grandfather. It restored us. That was an amazing, amazing gift. And since then, I went on a discipleship walk, spent time in prayer and asked God what he wanted me to do with my life. And so I was just waiting on God in this prayer on this discipleship walk, and I remember all these airplanes going through my head. So from that moment on, I decided I wanted to go to aircraft mechanic school. And as soon as I got back from the walk, my school was completely paid for, my toolbox was provided. My purpose in life is to live for God, to keep him at the center of everything that I do. My name is Carpenter, and this is my war story.